Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first time I'm speaking in any of the Brexit debates, although I have a way of making my opinion well known to the public elsewhere. I'm really, really sick of the way that the government has gone about this and is now basically saying it's my way or the highway. And the highway is rocky and bad, and they're asking all of us in this house to walk down a road that has no surface and we can't see the end of it. And they expect that sort of a coverall, like we care about the national interest because we've got this really bad plan and you're not walking down it, as if we don't all care about the national interest. You know, the people on those benches over there don't own the national interest. It's not the same as nationalism. It is something that we all care about very, very deeply. And I don't know how the member for Surrey Heath, the Right Honourable member for Surrey Heath, could stand in front of us today and tell us about how our food prices were going to go up and how it would be awful for agriculture and for all of the things that he said, and then not move every fibre in his being to end that. If I was in his position, and the whole let's not be talking about revoking, as the honourable member just talked, let's be serious. If any of us cared more about our elections, in fact cared less about our elections and more about the national interest, we'd be having a really deeply serious conversation about making this stop and starting to talk about the things that the people where I live talk about. Because do you know what? In this whole will of the people that others have touched on, we are terrified of the people in this country, in this house. Why are we so terrified of them? This 17.4 million, they all think this because I think this, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to lay over my own opinions onto 17.4 million people that everybody in this building does. We've got nothing to be scared of, because actually we have a responsibility to inspire those people out there and to lead them somewhere. And the single thing that has been missing from the very beginning of this horrid and torrid affair in British politics was any semblance of leadership and courage to take the country somewhere with them. The reason that people voted leave are plentiful, and I'm not going to pretend that they all agree exactly with me, but if we no deal, the people who voted leave in my area, who I am not scared of, and if they don't like the things that I say, do you know what? I believe in parliamentary democracy and they can get rid of me, and I am not frightened of that prospect. I wish the Prime Minister had not been made to be frightened of the people who sat behind her. She's certainly terrified of the people in the country. What the people will face where I live in the event of no deal, what they will face is still the same levels of poverty, still the same unstable job market. They will face much, much worse. They will not be able to afford food, which they can precious little afford now, and they will look up and say, I thought that there was going to be a golden era, and then they will be angry. That is what people in here should be scared of. We should not be scared of the country. I will absolutely give way to my honourable friend.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend, and she's making a very powerful speech. May I just say one thing about what she said about the Prime Minister? It is my view, and I have studied it carefully, like the honourable lady, my honourable friend, has. It is my view that the Prime Minister is respectful of those people, not frightened of them.
I agree. I am actually. He knows the Prime Minister considerably better than me. Perhaps if the Prime Minister had ever tried to talk to me about any of this, or people who live in seats like where I live, we could have had a much better conversation in here. I don't know her. To me, she looks like a rabbit in the headlights. She looks like somebody who isn't actually willing to say the real facts and say, this is really bad for the country. So we hear it in briefings, in bars, in Brussels, instead of hearing it directly from a woman who should genuinely feel the courage to say, do you know, I'm terrified of all the things that were outlined by the member for Castlewood and Pontefract. She should say, I'm terrified of the security implications. I am terrified for the food price implications. I'm terrified for the trade implications. And do you know what? You might not like it, and I might lose my role as the Prime Minister, but I'm going to do what is best for you, because that is what courage and leadership is. And whilst I respect deeply the people where I live, I noticed how selective the ERG are about caring about their needs. They want them when they back up their idea of Northern Town Leave voters. They don't want them so much when they need to give them welfare.
Edward.